No, he's a good one now. I mean, the dude can spin the ball. He's a smart player. He doesn't make a lot of bad decisions, you know. So the key for us is going to be, hey, try to not let him know what we're in, you know, even though we're limited in the things that, you know, what we do and what we show, but you know, just try to make him hold the ball for a second so we can get to him, because, you know, he does make good decisions. He's only been sacked 4 times. You know, he doesn't throw the ball into coverage very often. He'll just get rid of it. And if you can get him on some of those and get him to second down, well, maybe you got a chance to keep on and go with third down along, and then you try to get off the field. You know, rush. You know, if you can get there up front and you can get a guy to look at something and not know exactly what it is for a second, because that's the thing that's hard is, you know, he gets the ball in his hands, and if he knows what you're in, he's just going to spin it and get rid of it, and then you got to tackle when the ball's out, and you got to tackle it and hold it to as few yards after catch as you can, you know. But if you can confuse him once and get a hit on him and get a sack or disrupt his timing somehow, that's the best way to get to it. When we looked at it before, it was some of the same guys, you know, because a lot of those guys transferred, you know, and that's what you try to do. You try to get into it and say, hey, we got to find out where people come from as opposed to, you know, who they were last year, you know. And so they're, you know, they have some pieces from Western Kentucky that were really good, and they added, you know, some guys who's transferred in, and they're a good team right now. Sure, I think that as always here, you know, the guys play with a high motor, with high effort. You know, I mean, they've been straining, and in practice they strain like crazy. I think there's still some things we need to clean up. You know, I mean, we need to keep going up front wise on our rush lanes, making sure we're rushing together, because when we do, we affect the quarterback pretty well. When we don't, you know, you saw, you know, Martinez last week running through some big open spaces, and we don't like those things either. You know what I mean? The second part of it is just, you know, getting downhill, you know, getting set up in zones. When they do throw the check down or a ball underneath, which is kind of the goal of limiting explosives, is being able to converge and know where your help is. You know, if I'm the outside piece, staying outside so the inside piece can run through a guy. And we need to do a better job at continuing knocking down those plays and not thinking we're on the field by ourselves in some of those zone coverages. I like the plays that we do that right on. You know what I mean? When we're rushing together, you know, it gets pretty effective. You know, those guys up front did a good job executing the plan for the most part, which is where the hits and the hurries and some of the sacks came from, you know, and then we did a bad job on some other plays. So we just got to keep refining those things. We got to keep refining just the fundamentals of playing football. You know what I mean? How do I plant, point, and drive out of a break? How do I, if I'm gaming with somebody, how do I not give it away? How do I rush together? How do I make each other right? And those are the things that, you know, as coaches, we always look for things that we can improve on more than the things we do great. But we do some of those things well now, and we're giving great effort right now. I think it's always difficult, but realize that's some of the purpose of playing so many people up front, so that they have that experience. And when one guy's thrown into the next role, you know, I mean, and you look at it, if you say, listen, one guy was getting 40 reps a game and the next guy's getting 30 and the next guy was getting 10, all that really happens is the guy who was getting 30 goes up to 40, and the guy who get 10 maybe gets some more, and maybe you add another guy in the mix, you know, to fulfill a hole. So it is because you lose players. You know, you always hate to see that. But really with football, that's how football is, and you got to be able to say next man up, and let's get a guy ready, and let's get a guy to be able to do that job. And sometimes you have to fill it with 2 guys. You know, this guy plays in this situation, and this guy plays in this situation, where he was doing both of those roles before. Yeah, I mean, really that's the way football. I mean, that's somehow how we built this team off of that. You know, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there getting a lot of snaps that were in that same boat, and when people choose to that it's not right for them, that's how the college world is now. It's weird because it's not traditional, let's say, but it is what it is, and that's how we're hoping to continue to build our team a little bit, and I'm sure other teams are going to do that too, and it's going to be some of that from now on forever. You'd like to say, hey, it's going to happen on every play. I mean, that's really the design of it. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I mean that's really what you'd like to do. But you know, you do try to get some situations, and a lot of those things happen with, like, Coach Barnett and Coach Tillman talking during. You can start to see some things because people run things over and over during games. You know what I mean? And you can start to say, hey, when this happens, you can kind of start to see here. You hope you can get those early in the game, but those are things that come through consistently trying to get after the quarterback, making him rush his decisions, and then guys being able to see routes over and over and be able to say, okay, here might be something that you're getting, here might be something that you're getting, and you can hope that they can take that onto the field and see that and make those plays. I think that really started in the offseason. The strength coaches talked about that too, because it's one of those deals where he did have such a rough COVID time. That time being away, he was really light last year. He wasn't eating right. He wasn't doing, because all those things that happened. So it was a hard year on him. And since we've been back for real, he's really excelled at all those areas. And those things start in the off season. His work ethic, him building himself back up and being a bigger, stronger player, and then adding that to some of the stuff that he could do before with his speed stuff. I think that's really where it started. If you go back and watch, he was getting a lot of the same things early. It just wasn't happening in his fast form because, maybe Beasley would get there or maybe something else would happen and it was there. But he did. He had a really good game, and we're expecting that for a long time out of him.